When we go through the loss of a loved one, or particularly a little one, is God with us in the suffering, and can He carry us through? And secondly, how can we be a blessing to friends and family around us who go through the loss, particularly of a little loved one? Hi, I'm David Lyle-Morris, and I've really enjoyed bringing you these vlogs from Waiheke Island, New Zealand. And each month we've looked at one of our most loved songs and the Bible verses that relate to that, and also some real life stories which help to illustrate what we believe God is saying. And today I've come down to the beach to tell a very personal and painful story of a little girl called Amanda, born in Finland 31 years ago to the Poutu family, very good friends of ours. And tragically, Amanda only lived for one day due to severe health implications. And she was the first child in the family. It was a devastating loss to Jarmo and Aya. And they've kindly let us share some of their story today to bless others. And we wrote the song Wonder Why many years later and believed it spoke to Amanda's story, and we asked the family's permission to dedicate the song to her on our Northland album. What a huge privilege. And one of the greatest honours I've had was to visit Amanda's graveside up in central Finland. And as we approached her resting place, Jarmo, her dad, just broke down in uncontrollable sobs, and it struck me just how deep this loss still runs in their family. And also how much more our Father in heaven loves us and is with us through such great loss. A wise old lady who'd lost a young daughter said many years later, "The grief never stops, it merely changes form, from one of intense, sharp pain to the beginning of sad acceptance, and later to having beautiful, gentle memories that put a smile in my heart. God is so faithful," she said. And one of the verses that sustained the family through their loss was from Matthew 6. "Store up for yourselves treasures in heaven. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." And I believe, particularly in the West, we need to cultivate the truth of heaven being a real place, and the promise of eternal life to be a motivator for us to go through our challenges in life and realise there is so much more. Another amazing moment was when we sang the song Wonder Why live in Finland with our band on Amanda's birthday. And many of the family had gathered at this concert. And we realised, as I began to explain the song, that Yemina, Amanda's little sister, was there with us on stage singing in the band and translating what I was saying from English into Finnish. So you can imagine the outpouring of emotion as she bravely did that. And the family was so touched, and they're so grateful that we can remember Amanda, and grateful that they will indeed meet her again. And let me just share some of our story. In 1995, we also lost our first child, but it was during pregnancy. And likewise, we just didn't know whether we'd be able to have children after that. And the context was Liz's parents had died that year in their mid-50s. So we were just completely overwhelmed with grief, and I tried to sustain Liz through these moments. But it came to the actual birthday that our child would have been born, and the emotion just overtook. And I found myself waking up in floods of tears. I couldn't even go to work. And fortunately, we called on the elders of the church. They came around to pray with me that day, and I cried buckets of tears into our lounge room carpet. It was devastating. But God, true to His promise, He began to raise us up from that dark time. And the next year, our miracle boy Ewan was born, and that was a tremendous blessing to us. But you never forget the losses you've had, even in the context of great joy. And God continues to comfort. He's with us. He understands. The following 3 years, we were able to have our second son, Finlay, and he was a twin in the womb, but he was the one to survive. And Finlay always talks about how much he misses the twin and looks forward to meeting them one day in heaven. And in Ecclesiastes it said, He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the human heart. And in our song, Wonder Why, we wrote the line, God doesn't count the value of life by the number of days here on earth, for there's eternity. So as we come to a close, when we go through the loss of a loved one, a little one, is God truly with us in that suffering? And can He carry us through? The answer for us is absolutely yes. And in the life of the Poutu family and many others. Jesus Himself went through such great suffering, and He understands what we're going through. His love knows no bound. Secondly, how can we be a blessing to friends and family around us who go through such a terrible loss? A couple of practical things. We can continue to speak the name of the loved one with the family, like Amanda. Remember her and remember birthdays, and be very patient on the long journey of grief. We mustn't say things like, you should be over that by now. You're never over it, but God is with you through it. And in a spiritual sense, I think Isaiah 61 says it so well. Jesus said that these words came to fulfillment when He read them from the Torah. But let me pray them over you today as we finish. God has sent you to heal the brokenhearted, to comfort all who mourn, to put on them a crown of beauty instead of ashes, and the oil of joy instead of mourning. So God bless you. Please share your stories with us. Ka kite, as we say in Māori, nahadan. Moi moi. See you soon. Bye.